Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Dennis. So today we're going to do a case review of the Phanteks Eclipse P500A. Looks like it's going to be a great case. It has some of the features I like to look for. So we're going to get it out of the box, have a quick look at it, and we'll go over all the everything it has, size-wise, what it will accommodate, radiators, all that kind of good stuff. So if you're interested, stay tuned. Here we go. Okay, so here's our first look, and it's massive. It's much bigger than I thought it was going to be. So hopefully most of this is styrofoam and packaging and stuff, and it's not quite as big as that, of course. And we'll get it out of the box, have a look at it, and see how big it really is, because I didn't really plan for it to be quite as massive. But in big packaging, I'm expecting big things. So let's have a look. So get it down on the ground so we can have a better look at it. You can see there's a lot of packaging on the sides, and it's got a nice little case over it. So as I look at it, it's a bit thinner. It's still going to be a good size, but I don't think it's been nearly as massive as, of course, the box makes it look. So let's flip this over and get it out. So as you can see, it's quite massive. You can see how the styrofoam is protecting it, and they even got a piece of cardboard on the end. And so they've gone to great lengths actually to protect their product, which I have to say I'm really respectful of. So I'm just going to lift this off carefully, and I'm going to go down on my hand, hopefully without dropping it. And same thing on this side. So sounds like, pretty sure I think I got it upside down, but that's okay. Okay, so you can see a lot of cardboard. Okay, well, it's taking up quite a bit of space. We're going to get this off now and see what we're really looking at. So, yep, so I've got it. This is the top, this is the bottom. Let's get this off. I try not to ruin this, to be honest, because you might want to use it later on. Okay, time for the big reveal. I kind of turned around a little bit so you can have a better look at it. So let's get this off and see what we're looking at. All right, nice big accessory kit on the inside. And of course, we've got our plastic on the outside. All right, very nice. Nice power supply shroud on the inside. This is the thing that made me choose it, actually, is the fact that it has hinges. All right, so you just pop it out, and you can lift that right off by the hinges. Okay, it just comes right off. Pretty cool. I like that. Easily gets us to the inside so we can have a better look. And we'll get this accessory pack out, and we'll start going over all those features. Okay, so I want to get in and see this accessory pack. So it's just a little Velcro strap on the inside here, and it all comes out. So I'm pretty impressed with whatever this is. Let's have a look. So they talk a little bit about optional upgrades. Of course, there's riser cables, different stands it looks like. And we'll have to go through all this, figure out what it all is. And of course, they ask you before you return it, if you have a problem, please give them a call. And then you can try and help you out. I think these are going to be hard drive cages, along with all the screws and everything that you normally get. That's exactly what it is. So here's the cool thing about this. All your screws and everything, look at that. All your screws, everything you need in a nice little package. How often have you ever seen that in an unboxing video for any product? For like a computer product, that is. Hard drives, really cool looking. Really nice. I've never seen one like that. I will show you how to install that once I figure it out. And we have a second one here. And in here, we are also going to have another hard drive cage, right? And we have some other accessories. We will figure those out in a little bit here, and I will explain what they are. All right. That looks like just another opening for, I'm not sure. Brand new case to me, all kinds of new features. I'm really excited to find out more about this. That we even, because they actually give you this Velcro strap, you can actually cut it to size and use that to do some of your cable management. So that's kind of a nice feature in itself as well. Okay, so we already know these are the hard drive bays, our little plastic container with all our different screws, the standoffs, all that kind of good stuff. And this is a GPU anti-sag. So I've never seen a case actually come with one of those. Usually I thought you had to buy them separately, and I believe for a lot of cases you do. So it's great that they've included that. All right, so GPU anti-sag. So there you go. If you got one of the big 3090s, if you can get your hands on it, that is, then you're good to go. This is if you want to mount your GPU vertically. Okay, so when you're going to mount your GPU, there's two different positions. There's A and B. Now they say if you want to have better air cooling, use position A. So A being these slots here. So when you put it in, line it up with the holes. So these are on those holes. I know that's not quite the way it is. And do it there. Gives you better airflow. So of course I think it's because when you move it out further, it's closer to the glass. So you're not going to have as much airflow for breathing, for circulation and all that kind of good stuff. So there is an option to install a dual system with standoffs on the bottom side of the ITX bracket, and but you're going to require an ITX upgrade kit that you'd have to go to Phanteks to buy. All right, so just something to also be aware of. Not to mention the fact that if you have a need for a riser cable, you will have to buy it separately. Now with your hard drive brackets, okay, you can stack them on top of each other, all right, and they'll just slide and push together. So you got the little divots on the bottom, okay, so you line those up and push it forward and it'll go in there. All right, pretty simple, nothing too much to it. Slide your hard drives in here and you're good to go. And when you want to disconnect them, okay, you're going to pull it apart and then you're going to have to depress this here, okay, so that pops it out and that allows you to pull them apart. Okay, so if you don't do that, you're not going to get them apart. So pull that lever, okay, pull it down, there you go. Okay, there's two different versions of this case. There's the Eclipse P500A Black. It's a stripped down version of this case. So it only comes with white power LED fans, two 140 black in the front, and the power supply shroud has only got a black accent. Whereas this one is the Eclipse P500A DRGB Black, which basically just stands for digital RGB or addressable RGB. And it comes with 340 millimeter addressable RGB fans included in the front, and of course software free digital RGB controller, power supply shroud, which has the digital RGB lighting, which I'll show you later on. So that's just a couple of things I want to point out as we go along. And of course there's also a white version of this as well. So I want to turn it around and show you, because of course the strip is going to be along here. All right, just to give you an idea. When I turn it around and show you a couple of things in the back. Now these right here, before we do that, these move, right? So you can move them. They do slide. It's not easy to slide them, but I think it's probably easier from the other side. They'll slide out of the way for cable management. So you can slide them out of the way. And from the back, I'll show you that a little bit better. We're going to get the cover on the back off, show you how all that works, and a few other features. So let's get this off. Now they're adaptive thumb screws. Okay, so they just are meant to stay in there. So just pull on this, it comes off. Very solid side panels. All right, you're not lacking on build quality on this at all. And I'm going to be really happy to show you this in a minute here. So let's turn this around a little bit. They've gone to a great extreme for cable management. You've got 3 slots for SSDs, and there's multiple other locations. You've got this is going to be your power. I'm guessing this is either for your fans or for the RGB itself. Once I put the power supply in, we'll hook it up and we'll find out. You got all these little twist ties, which is what's nice on this for cable management, is it's loose. But you can break these out and it just slides down inside and just wraps on. And that holds it in place. That's first time I've seen that in a case, and a very great feature. This is indented, so it goes in deeper in here. So if you need to cable manage up and down this, you certainly can. You got lots of room in here. And of course, you're going to have lots of room to hide the cables on the inside here. And of course, there's probably the biggest area I've ever seen in terms of room for cables and your power supply. So there's not going to be any limitations in here whatsoever. Now, your hard drives, I mentioned I showed them there once before, so I'm going to hook them back together here and show you how they go in. So when you got your hard drives put together, now whether you want two or one, that's totally your call. There's three different places, three different ways you can put it in here. So you just slide it in here. You can mount it all the way up to here and push it in, or you can slide it down one more, or finally right up against the power supply, which I do not recommend. I probably would put it all the way to the left-hand side, still have lots of room to hide your cables. Not to mention how much cable management you've got on here already. So very, very cool. So another thing to point out, not only does it slide in and go down on here, but it's divided in half. So if you want to have cable management in this half and tie it off, same thing on this side, put it in, tie it off. Okay, it'll just slide in there. And of course you can tie what cables you want in here as well. You can got that. You got lots of room in here for feeding, for your back plate, if anything you want to do there. Yeah, there's one thing I do want to see. Okay, so sliding your cable, usually your CPU cable is going to go usually through a slot. They've got it so it's wide enough here so you can just feed it up and then drop it down on the inside. And lots of places to put in your cables. Like I said, remember I mentioned on the inside, so here's your little like brackets or whatever you want to call them. They do move, and you can tighten them. So see how once you loosen them, then you can tighten them up. So however you want to position them, you can loosen or tighten with this. Okay, bring it back. Now, when you do that, one thing to keep in mind is it could interfere with cables here. So just keep in mind where your cables are so you're not trying to like do anything to them. So moving around to the back, you can see power supply would go in here. You got two thumb screws. They'll come off, or I'll actually take it off. That goes on the back of your power supplies. Put your cables in, put it back on. Okay, so you have 7 PCIe slots for graphics cards or adapters, whatever it happens to be. If you're going to mount your graphics card vertically, then you've got 3 slots here. This is where your I/O shield is going to go. Does not come with a rear exhaust fan, so it can put a 140 on there or 120, whatever you choose. I'm probably going to put a 140 just because I like to have that extra rear exhaust fan. And that's it. So I'm going to go ahead, put our power supply in, and just get that done. Okay, so putting the power supply in is just a matter of putting the 4 screws in the corners here, pushing it in, and then just tightening this here. And of course, snug it down with a screwdriver, because of course you don't want to move it around when you're finally done. And tighten this probably just as well. And power supply's in. Fed the cables through the back. Okay, so you tuck them all away in the back here for now. All right, and then we're good to go. You can see you got a lot of room. Hard drives are in here. Probably won't even use them because we have SSDs, or we'll have M.2s in the motherboard, so you probably won't even need them. So let's move around to the front. Okay, so we're going to have our 3 fans in here. Taking this off is pretty simple. Usually just grab underneath here and just give it a pull. That was probably the easiest I've taken off so far. Mesh, so it prevents needing a filter, and you can take it out and clean it if you want to. All right, very easy to take out, but you don't really need to. You can just blow it and wash it or wipe it or whatever you want to do. Goes off and on very easily. So we'll come back to this more later on. So you just see this, the top panel doesn't really come off. It can come off. You got 3 screws here and there's a couple more in the back if you need to take it off. The reason for that is you can mount dual ITX motherboards in here. So that's how you can have a dual system. So it's kind of not quite the same as some of the other cases I've had for dual systems. So chances are you're probably not going to do that. One would mount up on the top here with a bracket you have to buy separately, and then the other one will of course go here. So you can have dual. You do have to buy a special power supply to put that in there if that's what you're planning on doing, which of course you can also buy from Phanteks. So a lot of extra stuff you want to get if you want to do that. Most people aren't going to, so there are features that you can read off, say, oh, that's nice, but will you actually use it? Chances are probably not. So should you decide to put your graphics card vertically, so like mounted here, this will slide, so you can put your cables up through and hide them as much as it'll let you. And of course, there's cutouts both here, and of course in here. So if you're going to put a radiator, of course, in the front, then you want to mount the hard drive cage in a different spot because you're going to need that extra room. So you're going to have to move it over. So one thing I did come across, I had to replace these two screws because once you tighten them and they're snug, don't keep going. Because I wanted them a little bit tighter, and when I did, they stripped. Thankfully, they provide more, so I was able to put it on and no real problem. I'm going to put a fan in the back here later on. So let's move back onto the inside. There's a couple of things I want to show you. So a couple of things I want to go over first. Your CPU cooler height. So that's the depth for your CPU cooler. It's going to be 190 millimeters. Your GPU clearance, so from here, widthwise or lengthwise, I guess, 435 millimeters. So that should cover pretty much every graphics card that's out there, including the newer ones. Your front radiator clearance, okay, so right here is going to be 95 millimeters, and on the top it's going to be 65 millimeters. Okay, so in the front for fans, okay, so right now you got three 140s, you can have three 120s, or you could have a radiator of 120, 240, 280, 140, 360, or even up to a 420. And on the top, of course, you can have 320s, two 140s, and rads from anywhere from 120, 140, 240, 280, and 360. And of course, in the rear, which, like I say, they did not include the rear exhaust, you can include a 120 or 140 and a 120 or 140 radiator. So just good things to keep in mind. I'm going to show you the top of the case here in a little bit with all the different mechanisms, but let's move on to the motherboard sizes. So of course you know that it says it can take two ITX, so they have a dual system, buying the extra components from Phanteks, or you can have up to an eATX, which a lot of people say doesn't even exist, but basically you have an ATX or a micro ATX motherboard in here as well. So let's move to the top of the case. We have our power button, we have our mic and headphone, our two USB 3.0s, our USB Type-C Gen 2, followed by our color button and mode. All right, so these can be used, okay, these two buttons here specifically. If you don't have an addressable RGB in your motherboard, you can use this to control your colors, your modes, everything like that, which is really a step up because a lot of motherboards don't come with addressable RGB today. So you're kind of stuck, and then you got to try and get a converter or something like that, or just go out and buy another case. In this case, you already have the ability to work without it, work without the software, and just do everything right from here, or you plug it directly into your motherboard through the addressable RGB and power everything software-wise through there. So good options. So I want to move down the case here and just show you. So it has a mesh magnetic as well. Okay, covers it all off, which of course we've talked about in the past on a lot of other cases. So that basically covers the top. Nothing, no big surprises except for maybe some of these features here. So I want to go back to the inside one more time. So this here cable, like I say, you've got the cutouts in the back. This here is so if you want to feed up, go to your graphics card. It gives you the ability to do it from here, just in case that's something you want to do. You can mount your hard drives in here. This will come off, any of the four of them, and you'll be able to put hard drives mounted in, of course, coming out this way. So just always an option. That's something that you can choose to do if you wish. So a lot of the things that get missed when it comes to cases is explaining some of the cables. Now, some of the things to keep in mind with those brackets that were in the back is don't forget they can cut your cables off. So if you squeeze them too hard or you shove them too far to the side to make room, Keep in mind, don't ruin your cables, because if they push against this, it could damage them. So we have this 1/4-pin fan. You've got a kind of like a bridging of everything here, which is going to run all your fans and everything like that. And of course, you have your RGB fan right here. Okay, so that's your addressable RGB. So that's where it's showing you that. But like I say, if you don't have that on your motherboard, you can run it from the top of the case. So then we have our that's what this is going to go into. So I'm assuming, let's have a look here. So that comes off, and you can plug it in like so. Okay, so just plug it in. Okay, so just line that up. Sure it's in there, and it should go together fairly easy. All right, line that up. And then, of course, you have your SATA connector for some of your lighting. I'm guessing some of your fans as well. So I'm going to plug as much of that in as I can. Of course, you've got your USB Type-C, your case cables, of course, with your HD audio. And now, what is this? So that's just another fan and USB 3.0. Okay, just a quick look at some of that. I'm not going too in-depth or nothing crazy like that, but I am going to power it on, see if we can light it up a little bit, show you what it looks like. Okay, so you can see the lighting coming through the front here, and it lights up top here, and our little RGB strip going across here. It's all lit up. Pretty good. I like it. Looks pretty sharp. Shows through pretty good. And so let's try the buttons on the top here, because right now it's not connected to a motherboard. So let's see what we can do here. So now that's not spinning. So the reason it's not spinning is there's no actual nothing powering this, so it's not plugged into a motherboard. So just to show you that I'm changing just the colors. Okay, and now let's change the button in the front, which is your mode. All right, so it just changes it up a little bit. That's kind of cool. Change a couple different colors. I don't know what it is about green and some of the other blues. I really like that though. There's one that stands out for me. Yeah, that looks better there. So choice is yours. How you like it, how you don't like it, totally your call. Okay, so I just changed the brightness of the light I had beside it just so you can see it better. And we're going to change the lights there one more time just to give it a different. So you can just see the different things you can do with it. And of course, like I say, changing your colors. I like that blue. I think blue is starting to be my favorite color. All right, everybody, so hope that gives you a good look. Go to overall explanation of how this case is, what it looks like. It's a pretty decent size. It's not quite as big as I thought it was, but then again, it's bigger than I originally thought it was. But it's probably about the same size as the case I'm using for my main system, except maybe I like that one maybe better. I'm not really sure. It's growing on me real quick. So anyway, if you like the video, hit that like. If you don't, you know what to do. If you're new here, think about subscribing. Hit that bell for future notifications as videos as they come up. And leave me a comment. If you have any questions, drop them down below. And I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you very much for watching.